A warm welcome back to everyone joining us through Four Star Media's live broadcast of the PatriziaCourse.com Goldstar Series Final here at Bunbury City Kart Club. We're into part two. If you're watching via Facebook and broadcast across the many pages, we are sending this out into the World Wide Web. If you're watching via YouTube, you should have had continuous footage all the way through. But if you are joining us on Facebook, thank you for joining in as we continue through the back end of KA4 Junior Heavy Heat 3 with 3 laps on the board. Last time at the line, Jack Caiullo just making the move a little while ago on James McCucci-Allen for the lead here in KA4 Junior Heavy, brought to you by MAS Equipment. And Caiullo on his way to take the win in a couple of laps' time if he can hang on to this one with the number 88 Perth Metal Recyclers Arrow chassis. We're into Heat 3, which means 15 laps for all classes. It's been 15 laps for KZ all day today so far, but 15 for everyone as McCucci-Allen pulls off a massive move at the flat-out sweeper. Caiullo goes back to the inside in the Air Force air conditioning. Now they go side by side. Whoa, that was a bit rough. And Jack Caiullo holds on to the lead across the top end of the racetrack. Just over 1 lap left to go for KA4 Junior Heavy. Yep. Out of the Avalon Transport Peak, checkered flag is flying, and Jack Caiullo will take the win for Heat 3 of KA4 Junior Heavy, brought to you by MAS Equipment. James McCucci-Allen comes home for second. Ethan Flynn will come home in third. Lincoln Fallows will race it down the line to go P4 from Matthias Harris, rounding out your top 5. As we get stuck into Heat 3 here at Bunbury City Kart Club, working our way towards the end of the day. It's just after 4 p.m. local time. We'll be expecting the sun to set over to the western side of the circuit very soon here. And of course, wrapping up today, we will have KZ2 for the West Australian KZ Series, brought to you by Bunbury Toyota and World East Fabrications. Will be out for their 25-lap final here at Bunbury City Kart Club under lights tonight. Should be a fantastic spectacle to wrap up the 4th round of the West Australian KZ Series. And they'll be coming out for their 3rd heat in just a couple of races' time. We are due with Cadet 9s on the out grid, getting ready to come out next. Getting ready to go racing with Cadet 9s out for Heat 3 of the weekend so far. And it's been a battle between Chase Webb and Campbell Thompson. Connor Mayer buying into the mix as well, rocking the P plates as a newcomer to West Australian karting, proving he's got a whole bunch of pace as he lines up on the pole spot to go racing as we go lights out and 10 laps on the board. Connor Mayer will lead the field down, but Campbell Thompson is going to slice through, and Chase Webb is going to fire up the inside of the flat-out kart sweeper. Connor Mayer goes down to the 4th spot on the start, and it's Chase Webb getting out front early, and the number 33 West Coast Civil flat-out karts entry gets to the point ahead of Campbell Thompson in the 51 KF kart, rocking the blue plates as your West Australian champ. William Kalsick Chen jumping up into the 3rd spot here. Connor Mayer down to P4. And it looks like Joel Blackman potentially into P5 from Diago Stewart in the 6th spot. Cadet 9's brought to you by Blackman Fabrications. And we'll pick up your full order. It's Chase Webb, Campbell Thompson, William Kalsick Chen, Connor Mayer and Joel Blackman, your top 5. Diago Stewart in the 6th spot from Lucas Kalsick Chen in the 7. Grady Crofts and Ben Keane with Xander Edgington in the 10. Hamish Crofts in 11 from Alexander Hills, Lucas Deans and Emerson Watson rounding out your full running order. This young Chase Webb out front. Campbell Thompson almost giving his rear tyre a bit of a lick in the inside of the Hot Weld Fabrication corners as they come onto the Bunbury Toyota main straightaway. Webb leads from Thompson down the hill. It's a 15 lapper. It's going to be a long haul all day long for our Cadet 9s. You can get your child into kart racing at the tender age of 7 years old. You can get your child's backside in a seat and out there and having fun and building memories and developing lifelong skills. Not just in the way to drive a car or a go-kart, but life skills they can enjoy throughout their entire adulthood as they grow. And of course, the karts grow with them. You step out of Cadet 9s into 12s and eventually end up racing through juniors. And if you hang on long enough, all the way through to seniors, or develop a career into cars, like many famous names have done before us. It all starts here at your local go-kart club, out on track and having fun with your mates, as Chase Webb and Campbell Thompson know all about that. These two are just inseparable in West Australian karting. They have been since they got started, and they were running around the track and enjoying each other's company. But now they're out front and battling it out in Cadet 9s here. The West Coast Civil number 33 flat-out karts entry of Chase Webb leads away from Campbell Thompson in the 51 KF kart in 2nd. Onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Now Thompson starting to come on song here. And drives up onto the back of Chase Webb. Last time across it was 3.5 tenths of a second. This time by 2.4 tenths of a second as Campbell sets a new hot lap of the race. The battle further behind though. Grady Crofts and Joel Blackman fighting it out through the flat-out kart sweeper. Young Joel, I think still the youngest in Cadet 9s in Western Australia. One of, for that matter. Racing hard here in the number 64 Blackman Fabrication entry. And it's young Diago Stewart and Lucas Kalsick Chen fighting it out. And they're battling for 5th and 6th on the road as we pick up your top 4. Down the Bunbury Toyota main straightaway, it's Webb, Thompson, and then William Kalsick Chen. Now Thompson at the inside. William wants to go with him. He's going to go side by side and tuck back into 3rd. Campbell Thompson claims a race lead from Chase Webb in 2nd. It's 5 laps completed, 10 to go, and Chase Webb is a meat in the sandwich at the moment between Thompson and Chen. Campbell Thompson picked his moment, but Webb and William Kalsick Chen are not giving up just yet. They're going to tuck in behind and try and chase him all the way down the hill on the Bunbury Toyota main straight. The fastest qualifier in this morning's session, Campbell Thompson, proving he wants to be at the pointy end no matter what. And the kid can race hard as well. I give him that with the 51 KF kart out front. Webb trying to stay in there. They're actually working together now and dropping off William Kalsick Chen. So I'd say with Webb being out front, he was backing them back a little bit. But now with Thompson released, Webb can actually chase a little bit harder. And they're dropping off a couple of kart lengths to young William behind them in 3rd as they come onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight again. almost at the halfway point. They both looked over their shoulders and looked at each other. Got the heads down and went after it. Through the Air Force air conditioning southwest corners. Thompson opens up a couple of kart lengths over Webb this time by. 7.5 laps left to go. We're across the halfway point here in Cadet 9's, brought to you by Blackman Fabrication. And up into the Avalon Transport Peak and onto the Bunbury Toyota Main Straight. Campbell Thompson leads away here in Cadet 9 Heat 3. The action still happening at the pointy end here at Cadet 9's Heat 3. Chase Webb was just moments away from monstering the back end of Campbell Thompson, but had to lift for some reason. You can see the kart looks a bit pointy. He's getting up on the wheel and sliding it through the corner, which bogs it down. And these 60cc Vortex Mini Rock engines with restrictor plates really don't like being bogged down in the middle of the corner. Young William giving him a hurry up. Coming out of Hot Weld Fabrications. He just bogged down for a moment ago and had to spend his time trying to chase Campbell Thompson out front. And now can actually see if he can arrive on the scene with a bit of closing speed. We're still 4 laps to go. 4 to go last time across the line. Campbell Thompson and Chase Webb. Once again, Webb is just pinballing between these two, between Thompson and William Kalsick-Chen. But as they come up onto the back of a little bit of lap traffic, this could really throw a spanner in the works for Campbell Thompson or Chase Webb. As they drive up onto the back of Alexander Hills and Ben Keane. Onto the Bunbury Toyota Main straightaway. 3 laps to go. Your top 3 glued to each other. I've got to tip my hat to young William Kalsick-Chen, though. He's the fastest on track as Webb up the inside of Campbell Thompson. But now they come up onto the back of lap traffic, and this is where it can get a little hairy. Chase Webb does it the hard way all the way around the outside. Campbell darts left and right. William trying to find his way through as well, and whoo, it's a wild one. Heading up the hill, Campbell Thompson sneaks on through. Our top 3 are through the lap traffic. Great work from the young drivers to all get through, and somehow the gaps sit exactly the same on the other side of lap traffic as they were coming in. 2 laps to go. Chase Webb leads away. Campbell Thompson in second. William Kalsick-Chen in third. Glued to each other out of the flat-out kart sweeper for the second to final time. And there is another lapped kart just a little bit further up the road. We're going to do it all again, folks. And this time, now if I was one of the parents of these kids, I would have my heart in my mouth. And I know the fact is entirely true for the parents on the sidelines here today. Cheering on for the youngsters. As young Chase Webb brings it onto the Bunbury Toyota Main straightaway. 1 lap to go. The final lap for Cadet 9 Heat 3, brought to you by Blackman Fabrications, and they touch wheels. Webb and Thompson rubbing them up as they come out of the canteen corner, but Webb holds on. Thompson put a hand up in a little bit of frustration from an 8-year-old through the center of the track on the final lap in Heat 3. And heaven forbid the final tomorrow is going to be absolutely one you want to watch. Cadet 9's putting on a show here at Bunbury City Kart Club. out of Hot World Fabrication. It ain't done yet because Campbell Thompson is all over the rear bumper of Chase Webb, but he's not close enough to have a look in the final corner. Down the line, and oh no, Webb drops a wheel. It's a drag race to the line. Campbell Thompson gets it. My goodness. One drop of the wheel on the final corner, and Campbell Thompson will claim the win. William Kalsik-Chen actually claims second, and Chase Webb lost out all the way to third at the line. A margin of 0.101 seconds covers your top three at the finish line in Cadet 9's Heat 3, brought to you by Blackman Fabrications. .125 restricted light, brought to you by Air Force Air Conditioning Southwest, is already up and underway. Josh Healy leading the way from Thomas Bauscher as they head up the hill into the top end of the racetrack. Cody Garner dropping into the third spot on the opening lap of racing. It's a 15-lapper for our 125 restricted light field, but Healy and Bauscher chasing each other down the Bunbury Toyota main straight past Canteen Corner into the flat-out kart sweeper. Bauscher pushing young Josh along at the moment. Healy makes it very, very difficult to pass. Makes that number 3 KF kart seem like it's 4 car widths wide as he head into a corner, and Bauscher knows all about that. He spent his time behind Healy. Spent plenty of time behind Healy if you asked him. But they'll fight it out. X30 power v the Rotax Evo Power, with restrictor plates, of course, for both of them in 125 restricted light, but Boucher needs to put a nose up the inside and force the issue with Josh Healy. Cody Garner is just tucking in behind him. He knows how to wheel that 22 machine around the circuit here at Bunbury City Kart Club. A dropped wheel for Healy costs him momentum. Now Boucher goes to the inside. Garner goes to the inside. Now Healy up the inside of Boucher. Don't take each other out, boys. And it'll all come undone heading into the final tomorrow morning. Cody Garner, in the space of half a lap, goes from third to first. Now Boucher and Healy find themselves in an awkward position. Time to work together and see what they can put together to close the gap to Cody Garner, who's gotten away out front now. It all started with Josh Healy dropping a wheel right here. A lap ago, with just over 11 laps left to go. Still plenty of time to try and close the gap to the back of Cody Garner, but they can't continue to fight over the remaining spots because Taylor Campbell and Glenn Fisher are lining up behind them to try and put a move on, rounding out your top 5. Now 4 laps completed, 11 to go. Cody Garner, fastest on track, leading things out here for 125 restricted light, heat 3. Well and truly across the halfway point here for Tag 125 Restricted Light Heat 3, brought to you by Air Force Air Conditioning Southwest. Healy and Boucher still having a discussion about who wants to be second today, as Sebastian Fiorenza has the fast lap of the race all the way back there in P7. We follow the battle here with Taylor Campbell, Glenn Fisher and Quinton Stevens. They're fighting over 4th, 5th and 6th on the road as they come down towards the flat-out kart sweeper. Now Tom Boucher resets a hot lap of the race, trying to catch Josh Healy further up the road, but nobody's going to catch Cody Garner out front, who's going to make it a third different race winner in 125 Restricted Light. In 3 heats so far today, it should be a real mix-up for the final tomorrow to decide who's going to be the winner of the round here at the Goldstar Series Final, brought to you by PatriziaCourse.com here at Bunbury City Kart Club. We follow Taylor Campbell and Glenn Fisher fighting over 4th and 5th down the Bunbury Toyota Main Straight. Another X30V Rotax battle happening here, all the way through the field of Restricted Light. And the Rotax definitely has the legs in a straight line. The X30 gets the power in the mid-range of the power band as they head up the hill towards the Hot Weld Fabrication corners. As we're just over 4 laps left to go. 125 restricted light, brought to you by Air Force Air Conditioning Southwest. A wild moment there. Glenn Fisher and Taylor Campbell getting into each other, and Quinton Stevens, a completely innocent party in that. Nobody wanted to yield, and that leaves 3 of them off onto the dirt and in the sidelines for the remainder of Heat 3, and we caught it all as they came a cropper out of the canteen corner. We go back to the battle for second, Tom Boucher and Josh Healy. Tom Boucher setting hot lap after hot lap. He's down to a 34.502 last time by. He's hot lapped at a 34.25. Still 1.4 seconds off the back of Cody Garner. Not going to be able to make up that differential. With just over 2 laps left to go in Heat 3. 125 restricted light. We've seen the demise of Taylor Campbell, Glenn Fisher and Quinton Stevens out of this one. Unfortunately, Daniel Clark is taking no further part of the weekend after having an engine failure in the previous race that brought him unstuck, and that spells disaster for Clarkie's weekend. 1.5 laps left to go. Garner, Boucher and Healy. Things starting to fall into a bit of a processional following. Out of the Hot Weld Fabrication corners. And it looks like we will have a third different race winner in 3 races so far for 125 restricted light. With 1 to go, final lap is upon us here at Bunbury City Kart Club for Heat 3. Cody Garner leads the way. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time once again. KZ2 on track for the third time today. 15 laps for Heat 3, brought to you by Bunbury Toyota and World East Fabrications. Tommy Sparks with a pair of heat wins against his name starts on the pole spot alongside Series Championship leader Blake Mills on the outside front row. We go to Jaden Pearson, Riley Traeger on row 2, Bailey Gretsch and Nick Middick on row 3, Scott Mackay and Ryan Bender on row 4 as the lights go out and send us racing. 15 laps on the board, one straggler stuck on the starting grid, and this time Tommy Sparks doesn't get the start that he wanted, but he's going to fight for it all the way around the outside with Blake Mills in for second. Tommy Sparks doing it the hard way. Leads away on lap 1. Mills in the second. Jaden Pearce in the third. From Riley Traeger in fourth. Oh, Hayden Patrizzi facing the wrong direction, coming out of the centre section of the racetrack, and his race will be done. The 29 Ricardo kart will buck up. And we'll watch onwards as Tommy Sparks must have missed a gear down the straight. Tommy looking over his shoulder and checking on things. He manages to hold on to the lead, but Millsy tucks in right behind him. Jaden Pearce back there in third. From Riley Traeger in 4. Ryan Bender in P5. From Nick Middick, Bailey Gretsch, Bailey Mickler, Scott Mackay and Josh Merritt. Good to see Josh back out there in the number 23 GP kart. Rounding out your top 10. There's Tommy Sparks. 2 wins so far this weekend to put himself in prime position in the Heat 3 from the pole spot. Leading the way from championship leader Blake Mills at the moment in the Pro Drainage Ricardo kart. Rocking the Vortex power. Now Sparksy starting to open up the taps as the field behind him is still bunched up for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th on the road in the form of Pearce, Traeger, Bender, Middick and Gretsch. But it's Sparksy and Mills out front trying to open up and break away in these early stages. 15 laps here for Heat 3 before we get under lights tonight for 25 laps here at Bunbury City Kart Club. It's the 4th round of the West Australian KZ Series here at the Goldstar Final, brought to you by PatrizziCourse.com. And Tommy Sparks, the number 21 OJG Engineering Charles Leclerc kart, making it work for him once again here. And it's either on or it's off for Tommy so far this season. Starting out with a fastest qualifying time at the opening round of the championship, only to have it taken off him for the kart being too wide at the back. And that started his demise that weekend, but he came through in the heat races, putting on some stellar displays of driving skill and sliding all the way up the inside to carve his way through those heat races. Blake Mills won the feature that night and started off his championship campaign on the right foot. Then at round 2 up in Geraldton, Tommy Sparks had it all sorted in the final and took the round win. The same happened at round 3 at Coburn International Raceway, but DNFs at both rounds have cost Tommy the chance of regaining some points control, as every heat race counts for points in the West Australian KZ Series, so you have to finish the heats. The round win still goes to the winner of the final at every single round, but the championship comes down to every single heat race. So these races at the moment, while Tommy Sparks leads the way, he needs to get these wins to try and start clawing back the huge points deficit that he's been giving away by claiming DNFs in the heat races at previous rounds. Now Jaden Pearce proving he's still got some pace underneath him, the number 18 Praga kart for Leasing Services of WA. He sets a fast lap. Joshua Merritt reclaims the fast lap though, the number 23 GP kart, the fastest on track right now. As Tommy Sparks has buttoned off for a couple of laps, he's letting Blake Mills drive up onto the back of him. Last time by for Sparksy, a 32.5. A 32.4 for Millsy, trying to close the gap. Last time it sat at 3.6 tenths of a second. This time across the line, it stays the same. 3.1 tenths of a second actually, as Ryan Bender resets the fast lap of the race. Through the Air Force air conditioning corners. Up into the Hot Weld Fabrication switchbacks now, right at the top of the hill. We're across the halfway point. 7 down, 8 to go last time across. And now Blake Mills is really monstering the back of Tommy Sparks as they come around onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Can we see a challenge from Blake Mills in a heat race on Tommy Sparks? Because he looks like he's hungry enough. Diving deep into the flat-out kart sweeper with the Pro Drainage and Mack Track Ricardo kart number 2 machine. Back there in second, see Millsy leaning his way in the seat with Sparks. He sits very flat in the seat. Doesn't let the kart move around too much. Two very different driving styles from two very different drivers. You have Sparksy, the wild child. Loves to get sideways and get loose, with Millsy is a lot more reserved at the moment. Millsy goes for a big look, but Sparksy closes the door at the flat-out kart sweeper. And who would have thought we'd have proper challenges in heat races for the race lead here in KZ2. The Bunbury City Kart Club with 745 metres of racing circuit proving to be the right combination. And we've got some off carts right at the top of the hill there. Didn't see that one. 3 carts caught up. It looks like one of the Mackay boys, or at least one of the Comcart drivers, along with Daniel Sugar up there at the top of the hill. And it looks like we have lost Daniel Sugar and Scott Mackay out of contention at the top of the hill there. Taking a look at our timing screen with MyLap Speed Hive. As we look at the battles further behind, it's Sparks, Mills and Pierce, then Traeger, Bender and Gretsch further behind in 4th, 5th and 6th on the road as they come across the top end of the racetrack. Pick them up onto the Bunbury Toyota main straightaway. Sparksy down the line, 4 laps to go. We pick up this little battle for 4th, 5th and 6th. It's Riley Traeger, Ryan Bender and Bailey Gretsch holding on to those 3 spots. And across your top 6 drivers, 4 of the karts come from the Birrell Art Manufacturing House that pumps out the Ricardo, the Charles Leclerc, and the Birrell chassis, of course. The odd ones out being Bailey Gretsch in P6 with the CRG and Jaden Pierce in P3 with a Praga kart from the IPK Manufacturing House. And we are 3 to go. Last time across the line for Tommy Sparks. But Ryan Bender is trying to close the gap to the back of Riley Traeger in the number 60 Ricardo kart. And actually looks like the back of Riley Traeger might have dropped the bumper. Just catching an eagle eye on there. And problems for Bender coming out in the middle of the racetrack. Just as I'm spotting problems for Traeger, there's a big issue for Ryan Bender, and he looks like he came to a stop at the middle of the racetrack. 2 laps to go. Thomas Sparks leads away. Blake Mills in second. And they've opened up a gap over Jaden Pierce, who's decided he's not going to try and hang with them anymore, try and conserve some rubber for the number 18 Leasing Services of WA Praga chassis. And further back is Riley Traeger, who I was spotting before. Looked like he's dropped the left-hand side of the bumper off the back of the 60 Ricardo kart. It's just hanging on there, and it might be enough to be deemed legal. But with 1 lap to go, it's anyone's guess. But it's Tommy Sparks in control of the field here in KZ2 with 1 to go in Heat 3. Brought to you by Bunbury Toyota and World East Fabrications. Tommy Sparks leads Blake Mills through the Air Force air conditioning corners in the middle of the racetrack here at Bunbury City Kart Club, up towards Hot Wheel Fabrication. A little bit of a wisp of smoke out the back of the number 2 Ricardo kart from Blake Mills, but the checkered flag is out. Tommy Sparks goes 3 from 3 today. 1 more to tick it off, and Sparksy wins Heat 3 of KZ2. Blake Mills comes home in second. Jaden Pierce home in third. Riley Traeger in the 4th spot. Bailey Gretsch rounds out your top 5. Nick Middick home in P6 from Josh Merritt in 7. Bailey Mickler in the 8th spot. Daniel Curry P9 and Paul Pedrotti rounds out your top 10 for KZ2. Heat 3 brought to you by Bunbury Toyota and World East Fabricators. KA4 Junior Light out on track and getting ready to rock and roll. As we get set. Brought to you by Custom Engineering. Noah Lyle will start on the pole spot here alongside James McCucci-Allen on the outside front row. Ethan Traeger will start from P3. Kate Davey out of P4. Zane Rhodes from 5. Aiden Deckers out of P6 from Luke Fraser in 7. Sebastian Guest in the 8 spot. And James Buchan will start from P9. And alongside Jackson Mitchell-Rosenauer, rounding out your top 10 starters. From Lockie Adams, Dylan Guest, Connor Payne, Reef Went, Riley Watkins, Jack Parra, Mitchell Campbell, Tom Horn, Krista McClurg, and Blake Carboni as we bring them down our 23 kart field. Lights out and racing. 15 laps on the board for KA4. Whoa, McCucci-Allen off the road. Kay Davey facing the wrong way at turn 1. McCucci-Allen rejoining deep in the field. As the field heads up into the top end of the racetrack for the first time. Opening lap of racing can always be a little bit wild, and KA4 Junior Light loves to prove the point every time. Picked up with the 45. Sebastian Guest in the Ricardo kart, running P8 on track right now. Just ahead of James Buchan and Lockie Adams as they head up into the Hot Weld fabrication corners. Noah Lyle leading the way. Ethan Traeger and Luke Fraser right there with him at the moment. Second and third on the road as they come down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. We pick up Aiden Deckers and Zane Rhodes. 4th and 5th on track. The Deckers being the fastest man on track right now. Rhodes just pushing Deckers along, making his step into the KA4 junior categories with a new kart for the number 26 Vulcan panel and paint entry. The race is still young, but Noah Lyle is out front and trying to open up the taps and clear out. Ethan Traeger not letting him get away just fully clean yet though, as we are 12 laps to go as they come down the Bunbury Toyota main straightaway. Noah Lyle with a hot lap, 37.39 that time across. Traeger with a 37.50, staying just in touch with him. Only giving away a tenth of a second across the line. As they come out of the Hot Weld fabrication corners. Lyle and Traeger taking young Luke Fraser with him at the moment. And I stand corrected, I did say a lone comp kart earlier. With Fraser rocking the second of the Corsa karts in the class. Currently second and third on track as we come up. It was 11 to go last time across the line, and Traeger, despite almost running himself off the road at Canteen Corner, is very racy behind Noah Lyle. He might have something to say about this one, and he might dive to the inside at the top of the hill, but chooses not to. It's going to be a wild ride if he went for that one. Up at the Hot Weld fabrication corners, but he's tucked under the rear bumper of Noah Lyle, who checks over his shoulder, reaches for the needles with 10 laps left to go in KA4 Junior Light Heat 3. Lyle covers off the inside line into the flat-out kart sweeper. Traeger tucking in behind him. Now young Noah is going to drive a very defensive race because Traeger's up the inside and into the side of him. And Lyle voicing his frustration at that one. Luke Fraser going side by side, but yields back to second. Ethan Traeger claims the lead here in KA4 Junior Light Heat 3. Brought to you by Custom Engineering. Luke Fraser into the second spot. Pushing Traeger along. Where has this kid come from? Fraser is on fire at the moment, pushing Traeger along here. Noah Lyle getting dropped off to third after getting caught up in the midfield. As we make a run towards the halfway point, James McCucci-Allen We came off on the opening lap. Back there in 9th at the moment. Now the fastest man on track at 37.02 for the youngster in the 41 Omega Kart for Makuchi Allen Engineering. And Luke Fraser bouncing across the curbs at the top end of the track, trying to put some pressure on young Ethan Traeger. Down the line, 8 laps to go. Coming into it with 7 laps left to go. KA4 Junior Light, Noah Lyle is on a comeback drive and really looking racy on the back of Ethan Traeger, who tries to force the issue up the inside in a late move at the flat-out kart sweeper. Can't get it done and now switches across and loses momentum on Traeger. Young Noah driving like a young man possessed. He wants to get back to the point here in Heat 3 and put some pressure on Ethan Traeger out front. As they head up towards the Avalon Transport Peak onto the Bunbury Toyota main straightaway. It's Ethan Traeger leading Noah Lyle. Ethan Traeger's report card from the day so far looks like a 3 and a 4. Would be a big jump to pick up a 1 here in Heat 3 and put in maybe a couple of spots, maybe 1 spot further on the grid for the final tomorrow morning. For the 20-lapper, I believe, here at Bunbury City Kart Club for the final round of the PatriziaCourse.com Goldstar Series. As they lead things out, just licking that curb that marks the inside of the long sweeper we use when we run anti-clockwise here at Bunbury City Kart Club, instead of the full top-end peak before the long run down the straight. Aiden Decker's picking off a beautiful move on Luke Fraser through the first corner past the canteen there, slid his way across the racetrack, the number 33 Flora Plant KF kart. Now Fraser wants to get back to the spot again, and now Zane Rhodes is buying his way into that fight. It was 4 laps to go last time across the line. This time will be 3 for Ethan Traeger and Noah Lyle down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Traeger has just lit a fire under his backside here in Heat 3 as Deckers has to make that move happen again. 2 laps in succession. Now Zane Rhodes buys his way into the fight. Whoa, a big touch up there with Fraser, and Rhodes is off the track. Now Fraser rejoins and comes on through, but he splits right between Jackson Mitchell-Rosenauer and James Makuchi Allen, who they're going to go side by side. Makuchi Allen's not happy with it either, and we're going to go 3 wide into the top of the hill. Dylan Guest, where the hell did he come from? The 50 Birillard chassis just goes switching and swapping and takes 2 for 1 at the top of the hill. His brother Sebastian just a little bit further behind and picks up the pieces as well. And that changes all of our running order at the top end of the track. Dylan Guest moved up a couple of spots. He goes to P6 out of that one. And now Sebastian in front of Luke Fraser with 1.5 laps left to go. James Makuchi Allen will be a frustrated young man back there in the 41 Omega kart, getting dropped a couple of spots by just getting rubbed up trying to make a pass. And the last lap board is out to pick up your race leaders down the line. 1 to go. As Noah Lyle made the move happen when we got it away from camera on Ethan Traeger. So Lyle leads away in the Arise Racing Flat-Out Karts X5 Racing chassis from Ethan Traeger back there in second. Actually, Ethan Traeger's been dropped off So something happened off screen when we weren't looking. We were watching the battle further behind. Noah Lyle leads out from Aiden Deckers in second. Jackson Mitchell-Rosenau goes to third. As the checkered flag is out, Lyle wins Heat 3 of KA4 Junior Light. Aiden Deckers comes home for second. Jackson Mitchell-Rosenau goes third in KA4 Junior Light Heat 3. getting on down with Cadet 12 out on track as they get ready for their third heat of the day. Brought to you by Bunbury Kartworks. Andrew and the team from Bunbury Kartworks happy to hook you up with anything you possibly need. Travelling to all the major open events all across Western Australia. And proud supporters here at Bunbury City Kart Club and regular supporters of the Cadet 12s and other categories here in West Australian karting. Nash Ferraro with a first and a second so far. Starts on the pole spot here. Sachin Smith Way with a second and a first. Will start on the outside front row. Connor Radford will start from P3. Nick Starty from P4. Toby Maiolo from P5. Benjamin Hall from P6. Cooper Lyle from the 7. With Chase Wildman from 8. Jordan Cleve from P9. And Orlando Piavitas rounds out your 10 starters as we bring the field onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight to send them racing for 15 laps on the board. Lights out. We are go for Cadet 12 Heat 3. Brought to you by Bunbury Kartworks. And it's Nash Ferraro leading the way into the flat-out kart sweeper for the first time in racing. Sachin Smith Way back there in the second spot. As they come out of the Air Force air conditioning corners. Nick Starty back there in P3. Toby Maiolo in the 4th spot as they head up towards Hot Weld Fabrication. Into the top end of the racetrack here, Ferraro leads away onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight, opening up about 5 kart lengths over Sachin, who I stand corrected. It's not Sachin, it's Connor Radford in the second. My mistake, Sachin dropping off way through the field, all the way down to P10. Heartbreaker here for young Sachin. But it's Nash Ferraro leading out. Connor Radford just keeps going from strength to strength in this class, stepping out of Cadet 9s into the 12s to contest things out. Nicola Starty back there in the 3rd spot, his Energy Course brother of Toby Maiolo into P4 as Chase Wildman sits P5 as they're bringing onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight. We follow along into the flat-out kart sweeper. Just a few laps completed. Still 13 to go last time across the line. Ferraro, 38.05. Radford, 38.09. Nothing between them on the lap speed as they continue to fight it out. Behind them, Starty and Maiolo for 3rd and 4th. Chase Wildman for P5. For the West Australian champ, young Nash Ferraro, the 16 Pinjarra Bakery OTK kart. With Coogee spinning the spanners for him. Continues to lead the way. Last time across, he opened the gap up to half a second. But Radford was marginally quicker. Toby Maiolo was the fastest of the lot. A 37.809 for young Maiolo. Going to the 4th spot. Wildman back there in P5. We pick up this little battle here. We pick up one of the Clee boys. It's the 67, Jordan Clee in P10. Behind him, Lachlan Clee, his brother, fighting it out. And we go further ahead now in the field. We pick up young Cooper Lyle and Benjamin Hall. And flick forward to the Energy Course boys. Nick Starty and Toby Maiolo fighting it out down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Five laps complete. 11 to go. Last time by for Nash Ferraro. Nick Starty with the new hot lap of the race that time by, 37.5. And a massive jump in the hot lap speed. A 37.5 from Nicola Starty. 37.8 and 37.7 from Ferraro and Radford that time across. Huge difference in lap speed, and young Nick Starty is making inroads on these guys now. We'll see if he can put some pressure on in the coming laps. Out of the flat-out kart sweeper, your top 4. Breaking away from the rest of the field, Nick Starty. Last time across 37.71. Ferraro 37.62. Opening up the taps, that's his personal best lap. But Sachin Smith Way, who got absolutely shafted off the start, all the way back in P8, has reset the hot lap of the race of 37.5 last time across. As we follow along, Nick Starty and Toby Maiolo discussing who wants to end up 3rd here in Heat 3 today. Maiolo pushing Stardy all the way down the short chute towards the flat-out kart sweeper. The two energy course karts. Nick Stardy a little bit taller in the seat, a little bit higher up, rocking the taller bodywork. Trying to get more of an aerodynamic advantage. Has had his fair share of success in Western Australian karting in the energy course chassis with the Cadet 12 category in recent times, especially at the previous round of the Goldstar Series up at Midwest Kart Club, where he led out an absolute thriller of a race happening behind him by about half the length of the main straight at Midwest Kart Club to claim a heat win on the first day of competition at round 2 of the PatriziaCourse.com Goldstar Series. We follow along, Stardy and Maiolo pushing up onto the back of Connor Radford. Going to put on a fight for second here as we're almost halfway home. Five laps to go, last time across the line. Toby Maiolo still pushing along Nicholas Stardy, trying to get him to drive up onto the back of Connor Radford. Really pushing along now as they head up towards the Hot Weld Fabrication corners. Nash Ferraro unfazed out front. He's got a bit of a buffer. 7.2 tenths of a second, the gap. And as he continue to push, out of the canteen corner towards the flat-out kart sweeper. Stardy drives a narrow line into the corner to cover off any challenge from young Maiolo. And really masking the potential of what Maiolo could do to the back of Connor Radford at the moment. As they head up towards the Hot Weld Fabrication corners. 3 and a bit laps left to go. Stardy's run himself wide at the first part of the corners, and that bogged him down, but Maiolo still unable to capitalise on this. And putting pressure on. 3 to go, this time across for Nash Ferraro. We follow the battle for 3rd and 4th. Nick Stardy and Toby Maiolo. Young Toby has the fastest lap of the race, the number 23 Energy Course chassis. But can't do anything with it at the moment. On the back of the number 15 Energy Course of young Nick Stardy. As they head across the top end of the racetrack. Nash Ferraro continuing to lead the way to add a second W to his name for today's program. 2 laps left to go. The number 16 Pinjarra Bakery OTK kart here at Bunbury City Kart Club. Maiolo pulls out late and forces the issue. Nick Stardy sees him there, parked on the inside line. Now Maiolo gets to the 3rd spot. How much quicker is he on outright lap speed? Can he open up the taps and close the gap to Connor Radford? I'd say he would have been out of time and made the move about 5 laps too late here. Across the top end of the racetrack. 1 lap to go for Nash Ferraro. Down the Bunbury Toyota main straight on his final lap here in Heat 3 of Cadet 12. in the middle section of the racetrack. Radford has just stayed in touch all race long, really proving he's got plenty of pace, and Scotty will be happy on the sidelines, seeing the pace coming from his young fella. But this Nash Ferraro kid out front looks the business, knows how to get it done. He will add another W to his name here in the heat races for the Saturday program here of the final round of the PatriziaCourse.com Goldstar Series. Ferraro wins Heat 3. Connor Radford comes home second. Toby Maiolo home in third. Nick Stardy actually ended up third there. Something happened between them on the final lap. Toby Maiolo goes to fourth. Sachin Smith Way rounds out your top 5 from Benjamin Hall in P6. Chase Wildman P7. Cooper Lyle in P8. Cody Colmer in P9. And Jordan Clear rounding out your top 10 in Cadet 12. Heat 3 brought to you by Bunbury Kartworks. Tag 125 Light brought to you by TNN Sheet Metal, getting ready for their next 15-lap endeavour. The Heat 3 of their program. And can anyone challenge Hugh Maguire in the number 15 Digital Quarter Tony Kart as he leads the field down the straight on the opening lap here. Lights are out and we are racing. 15 laps on the board. Maguire is going to hold out the inside line. Kit Foster, who's going to have to do it all the way around the outside on Ash Morrissey and slot back into second. Morrissey back to the third spot. And a massive pile up through the middle. Go-karts going left, right, and centre, and two guys caught up facing each other. Kip Foster goes to second, Morrissey in third. It looks like Kieran Ellis in the fourth spot. Isaac McLean rounding out your top 5. Down the Bunbury Toyota main straight on the opening lap of racing. Maguire leading things through the flat-out kart sweeper. And Kip Foster back there in second. Ash Morrissey in third. Kieran Ellis putting a lot of pressure on Morrissey. Looks to the inside at the top of the hill. The 39 KF kart parks himself on the apex nicely. to get the job done and go for third. Now Isaac McLean trying to do it the hard way. He's going to go side by side, bashing elbows with Morrissey down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. McLean claims the next spot, but Morrissey fights back to the inside, and they're going to do it again. Flynn Thompson now parks himself up on the inside. This is a fight for 4th, 5th and 6th at the moment. Morrissey, McLean and Thompson. And Ryan Nicholson a little bit further back in the 75 KF kart. So they have a crack at it down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Hugh Maguire leads out Kip Foster into the second spot, but we follow the battle here with Flynn Thompson and Isaac McLean. Fastest on track right now, Shea Thompson setting a hot lap of the race, just snatched that by Daryl Henderson, all the way down in 13th. So Hendo caught up on a lap 1 incident again for the OTKWA frontman. And Henderson unable to catch a break here today at Bunbury City Kart Club, as we are 4 laps completed, 11 to go for Tag 125 Light, brought to you by TNN Sheet Metal. Hugh Maguire leads away by 0.3 of a second over Kip Foster. Another half a second back to Kieran Ellis in the third spot, who just set a hot lap of the race of 32.81 on the timing screen for Kieran Ellis, trying to close the gap to Foster and Maguire out front. Huge gap from Ellis back to Morrissey in P4. So he's safe in that respect as we go down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. 10 to go here for Tag 125 Light. Following along with Kip Foster, currently hanging on to that second spot as Hugh Maguire starts to really light up the track. Maguire down to a new hot lap of 32.4. Said a couple of laps ago, he backs it up with a 32.49. Foster with a 32.6. Ellis trying to match him with a 32.65. Maguire is just in a league of his own when it comes to outright speed this weekend so far in 125 Light. He leads out by 1.1 seconds over Foster and Ellis. And it's turning into quite a processional heat here. Heat 3 of 125 Light, brought to you by TNN Sheet Metal. We try to pick up your top 3, top 4 of Ash Morrissey back there in the 4th spot. Flynn Thompson rounding out your top 5 from McLean, Nicholson, Fraser, McPherson, Sutherland rounding out your top 10. Then Henderson, Smith and Thompson. We lost Liam Kane and Luca Nietzsche earlier on in the race. We even lost Shea Thompson earlier in the race as well. There's 5 laps left to go. Last time across the line, we follow Ash Morrissey out of the flat-out kart sweeper. Number 89, Sarah Cart, doing the work for Morrissey. Had plenty of pace earlier on in the day. Just seems to have dropped off a little bit in the access infrastructure. IAMI X30 powered entry. The X30, the engine of choice for pretty much all of the 125 light category. It's not until you go to the restricted classes where the Rotaxes start to come into a league of their own, at least in WA, statistically. 3.5 laps left to go. Maguire cruising out front from Kit Foster in second, Kieran Ellis in third. Last lap board coming out to pick up your race leader. Hugh Maguire down the Bunbury Toyota main straight to start his final tour of the circuit. The number 15 digital quarter, Tony Kart. In a league of his own here, down to a hot lap, 32.39. Hot lap from Maguire. It's 1.5 tenths quicker than the Foster and Ellis combination hot laps, 32.5s. And he's opened up the gap 1.3 seconds over those two. Onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight for the final time. Little check over the shoulder. Hugh Maguire unfazed to take the win here in Heat 3 of 125 Light, brought to you by TNN Sheet Metal. Kit Foster home in second. Kieran Ellis home in third. Ash Morrissey rounds out P4, and Flynn Thompson rounds out your top 5 from Isaac McLean, Ryan Nicholson, Hayden Fraser, Shane McPherson, and Daryl Henderson rounding out your top 10. Bringing on out TAC 125 Restricted Medium, brought to you by Kartmart, servicing West Australian karting for over 25 years now. Harvey is a proud supporter of WA karting scene and able to provide you with all the parts and carts you possibly need, including race gear, specialty tools, engine, and of course complete chassis and combinations. Head on over, go see him in Welshpool. It's Kartmart, proud presenters of our 125 Restricted Mediums here at Bunbury City Kart Club. As we get set to go, Nathan King has been the man to beat, and what a wild ride it was for this group here in Heat 2 earlier today. We'll see what they can do here in Heat 3. Nathan King starts on the pole spot from Benjamin Bonden in second. Christopher Strawn will start on the outside front row, actually, in second place as we get set to go lights out, but no dice this time by. No start. We'll get them reformed up and ready to go again. So it looks like Nathan King on the pole spot here. Christopher Strawn on the outside front row. Benjamin Bonden starting from the third spot. Todd Davey starting on the second row, with Paul Dabinet and Jade Williams on row 3. Lee Bujos and Jamie George on row 4. Josh Hunt and Ryan Lee on row 5. And Nathan Bassett rounding out your 11-kart starting grid. Getting set to go this time by lights out. We are 15 laps on the board for 125 restricted medium. King getting a good start from the front row. Leads Strawn down into turn 2 from Todd Davey. In the third spot, looks like Benjamin Bonden back there in P4 as they charge into the midfield for the first time. Watching the field all dicing for it here as Todd Davey jumps up to second up the top end of the racetrack. Early days in the number 3 Weet-Bix entry comp kart. Trying to move forward in the field. And Todd Davey goes to second. Now Christopher Strawn back in the hands of Benjamin Bonden. As they go through the midfield, we will watch on the battle for third here. Strawn and Bonden fighting it out, and these guys had a bit of a wild ride in Heat 2 earlier today. Up into the top end of the racetrack. Nothing between them, but they're letting Todd Davey get away, and Davey's really racing up onto the back of Nathan King out front. But Bonden wants to have a fight with Strawn about it in this fight for third. Picking up the battle for the race lead here with Nathan King and Todd Davey. Todd must have come back to the pits and started taking a couple of driving tips from his boy because he's lighting the track on fire. Hot lap of the track so far. 35.2. 0.3 of a second clear of what Nathan King has put down. And Monster in the back. He was only a 1/10 of a second off the back of King a moment ago. Now it goes to 0.3 as they come down into the flat-out kart sweeper. King and Davey out front from Christopher Strawn and Benjamin Bonden. Third and fourth, Jamie George up to P5. Lee Bujos into the 6th spot. Paul Dabinet drops down to P7. But Davey, Monster in the back end of the 37 machine of Nathan King. Trying to put some pressure on here. King for West Oz Custom Trucks. He seems to have a bit of an advantage down the straights. That'll be the Rotax power doing the talking on the Bunbury Toyota main straight over the X30 of Todd Davey. But Davey really makes up his time in the second half of the lap here. Look how much gap he closes in on the back of Nathan King. It was about 2 car lengths off the back as they went through the middle section. And closes it down to about a half a kart before they hit the Avalon Transport peak and onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Then King opens up the taps once again. 10 to go. It'll be 9 this time across the line for Nathan King. Leading things out here in 125 restricted medium, brought to you by Kartmark. Well, the battle for third and fourth fizzled out just a little bit, but it's Christopher Strachan leading out from Benjamin Bondon. Third and fourth, then we go back. Jamie George in P5 and Lee Bujos at the back of that pack. Lee hasn't really made the impact on this race that he had in the previous heats. He's all the way back in the 6th spot as Nathan King leads things out from Todd Davey in second. And Todd's actually starting to try and put some pressure on in the closing stages once again. And Christopher Strachan leading this battle pack that's starting to bunch up as Bujos has a bit of a look up the inside of Jamie George, but couldn't quite get it done. As they came down the line, 3 laps to go. This is a fight for third. Christopher Strachan holding onto it from Benjamin Bondon in in fourth. Jamie George back there in P5. Lee Bujos in the 6. Ahead of them is Nathan King and Todd Davey fighting over first and second, and we go through a plume of dust and smoke on the top end of the racetrack. It would have been one of our lead drivers dropping a wheel on the way up the hill towards the Hot Weld Manufacturing set of corners, but George and Bujos really got a fire under their backside at the moment. They're charging forward and we're going to put some pressure on this fight for third. Jamie George dragging Lee Bujos with him as George looks up the inside of Benjamin Bondon, who looks like he's getting a bit tired in the closing stages of Heat 3 of 125 Restricted Medium, brought to you by Kartmart. Now Jamie George fancies a run at Christopher Strachan on the final couple of laps with 1 to go as they come down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Final lap and Jamie George is very racy. He goes up the inside of Christopher Strachan. And just moments ago he was way off that battle pack. Now Benjamin Bondon goes around the outside of Strachan. Lee Bujos couldn't quite get there and he stays where he was. But Jamie George will pick up third as a result. A very late charge to the front here in 125 Restricted Medium. The checkered flag out and waving. Nathan King down the line to take the win from Todd Davey home in second. And Jamie George will claim third in the number 8 Sarah chassis, and he's a happy man as well. Thumbs up for the crowd and his family. Benjamin Bondon back there in P4, Christopher Strachan in P5. Lee Bujos rounds out your top 6. That was 125 Restricted Medium, brought to you by Kartmart. On track with KA3 Junior getting set to go for Heat 3 of their weekend so far. 2 different winners we have had in the heat so far. Caleb Sumich with a first and a second in Heats 1 and 2. Thomas Lawton the other way around, second in Heat 1 and a win in Heat 2. We'll see these two start alongside each other here for Heat 3 ahead of Robert West and Luke Sawyer. On the second row of the grid, Tyson Sadler and Josh Byrne will start from the third row. Gabriel Palanca and Aiden Deckers from row 4. Jack Kawillo and James McCucci-Allen will start from row 5 from Noah Lyle, Dylan Guest, Sebastian Guest, Ethan Flynn and Riley Wastel. And we are no start yet. Lights are still staying lit. So we'll send the field around once more before we get set to go for a 15-lapper here for Heat 3. KA3 Junior brought to you by OJG Engineering, your MSCL piping specialist, and servicing all facets of industries. It's getting louder. Bringing the field around onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Caleb Sumich and Thomas Lawton on the front row. Be ones to watch here as we go lights out and racing. 15 laps on the board for KA3 Junior. Lawton with the best start of the bunch. He leads the field down into the flat-out kart sweeper for lap 1. Sumich in second. Sawyer in third. West in fourth. Oh, wow. Great piece of driving to dodge the spun Joshua Byrne there. And I believe that was Ethan Flynn making a quick dart around the outside to dodge him. But it's Thomas Lawton leading the way. Sumich into the second spot. The Eco Resources number 14 Cosmic Kart. Then Robert West, the number 9 KF back there in P3. Luke Sawyer in the 4th spot as the battle's going all the way down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Fighting it out into the middle of the racetrack, and it's all happening here in KA3 Junior, brought to you by OJG Engineering. So we follow the middle pack. Jack Kawillo at the pointy end of that group from Gabriel Palanca, Noah Lyle, James Pancucci-Allen. The Guesty boys. And Dylan, the number 50, as they come down the Bunbury Toyota main straight, all packed into that battle pack. 45 is Sebastian behind his brother. And Deckers in the 33. Followed by Riley Wastel in the 44. Ethan Flynn further behind them. Tyson Sadler and Joshua Byrne at the very back of the pack, setting fast laps as Byrne goes down to a 34.32 that time across. Fast lap of the race so far. Still early days here for KA3 Junior. We expect him to get down to the mid to low 33s. Battle pack in the midfield of Lyle, McCucci-Allen, Palanca, Guest and Guest. There's a problem for the 12. Gabriel Palanca has his hand up in the air. Something gone wrong for the number 12 Tony Kart, and Gabriel will be out of contention here in Heat 3 of KA3 Junior. Down the Bunbury Toyota main straight, we catch the field. Thomas Lawton still leads away. But it's the Guesty boys in a match-up in a drag race. Past Canteen Corner. Sebastian getting past his brother. The 45 plays the 50. And it's great to see these boys out and having fun, still glued together wherever they go. The brothers go racing in WA karting. And yellow's shown up at the top end of the track. I believe that'll be for Gabriel Palanca, just dragging his kart off the track. Unfortunately for the number 12, will take no further part here in Heat 3 of KA3 Junior. So it's all happening here in KA3 as Noah Lyle forces the issue up the inside of Jack Kawillo to pick up the spot, and Lyle is trying to mount a big comeback drive throughout the heat races so far. The number 4 Flat Out Karts and Arise Racing Parallel Chassis trying to climb his way through the order. He's up to 5th and sets his sights forward onto the back of Luke Sawyer a little bit further up the road. But it's Lawton leading from Sumich and West. And Sawyer in 4th, Kawillo just lost the 5 spot as we pick up your race leaders, Thomas Lawton and Caleb Sumich, fighting it out through the midfield here. into the Hot World Fabricators corners at the top end of the racetrack. The OTK WA TuneTech Auto Service Centre Tony Kart of Thomas Lawton leading the way from the Eco Resources Cosmic, essentially the same go-kart underneath. Rocking a different sticker kit and a different name under the guise of Cosmic. Into the flat-out kart sweeper. And you have to think that Sumic is just biding his time at the moment, trying to pick his moment, as we're not even across the halfway point here in KA3 Junior Heat 3, brought to you by OJG Engineering. Twitching and slipping under brakes up at the top of the hill, trying to gather the karts up underneath them. As the track has gone into the shade up there, probably getting a little bit slick in the shade here at Bunbury City Kart Club. As we go 7 to go, last time across the line. The move is on at the flat-out kart sweeper. Sumic up the inside of Thomas Lawton to claim the race lead. Caleb Sumic going to the point, drops Lawton down to second. As they head up towards the Avalon Transport Peak. Now can Caleb Sumic open up a bit of a buffer. He checks over his shoulder as Lawton already has his head down, trying to gain the aero advantage. Through the flat-out kart sweeper. Into the Air Force Air Conditioning Southwest set of corners through the middle. Sumic has opened up about a couple of kart lengths as they head up towards the top end of the racetrack, and Sumic on his way here with 5 and a bit laps left to go. KA3 Junior from Thomas Lawton in second, Robert West in third. Two and a half laps left to go. We pick up with Jack Caiullo, James McCucci-Allen, and Sebastian Guest fighting out for 6th, 7th, and 8th on track. As your battles out front, well and truly dissipated. Caleb Sumic has dropped off Thomas Lawton to the tune of 7/10 of a second. Sumic out of the flat-out kart sweeper. With 2 to go last time across the line. Has one hand on a W here in Heat 3 of KA3 Junior, brought to you by OJG Engineering. Robert West is buying his way into the fight for third. And Noah Lyle and Luke Sawyer still having a chat about who wants to be 4th and 5th here in Heat 3 to cap off their Saturday program. The stricken cart of young Gabriel Belanca out there on track will have to get picked up and brought back to the pit section at the conclusion here. But with 1 to go as they came across the line, Caleb Sumic 1 lap away from a finish here in Heat 3 of KA3 Junior. We'll have just a short amount of time to go back and get set to go in KA2 coming up, brought to you by Vulcan Panel and Paint in a few moments. As we come into the final corner onto the Bunbury Toyota Main Straight. Checker flag will fly. Sumic takes Heat 3. Thomas Lawton home for second. Robert West in third. Noah Lyle in P4. Luke Sawyer will round out your top 5. From Sebastian Guest in 6, James McCucci-Allen in 7, Dylan Guest in 8, Aiden Deckers in 9, Joshua Byrne rounding out your top 10. as we get set to tag 125 Restricted Masters out on track and getting ready to rock and roll for their third race of the weekend. Heat 3, brought to you by Cadet Pipe Contracting. Now 125 Restricted Masters field. Getting ready for 15 laps on the board so far. Shane Ratcliffe and Bradley Stewart sharing a win apiece. Ratcliffe will start on the pole after having a first and a second. Stewart a first and a third against his name will start on the outside front row. Second and third goes to Anthony Higgs. So far in the proceedings, he will start third on the grid as lights go out and send us racing for 15 laps. Bradley Stewart is going to do it the hard way, all the way around the outside, into the flat-out kart sweeper, trying to lead things out in the opening lap and see if he can put this kart speed to good use, because he had monster pace in Heat 2 earlier today. And Stewart leads things out from Ratcliffe in second. Up across the top end of the racetrack, out of the Hot Weld Fabrications. And up towards the Avalon Transport Peak, down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. And Stewart leads Ratcliffe from Higgs. John Ray in third, Anthony Higgs in P4. Brucey Skyring goes to P5. Roy Tester in 6 with Ian Shaw. In the 7th spot from Nathan Will, Peter Ten Brooker, and John Hill rounding out your full running order. We follow this battle at the moment. Brucey Skyring and Roy Tester fighting it out, and they're battling over 5th and 6th on track. Checking the jacking and the hop of the inside rear tyre as they turn on in to the Avalon Transport Peak. Bradley Stewart almost runs himself out of racetrack. Coming out of Canteen Corner, all up all over the curb. That is the entry into the in-grid, which is only to be used at the end of racing, as Stewart had to fire himself back onto the racetrack, but he's got a couple of kart lengths as a buffer. Johnny Ray is the fastest on track right now. Last time across, Johnny Ray to a 35.5, 35.6 and 35.5s ahead of him from Ratcliffe and Stewart. But Stewart holds on to that 0.3 of a second advantage at the line last time by, now out to 0.6 of a second as Bradley Stewart puts in a 35.1. Brad Stewart coming into a league of his own here in Heat 3. We saw it in the second half of Heat 2 for 125 Restricted Masters, brought to you by Cadet Pipe Contracting. Now well and truly stretching the legs here in the third heat. 15 laps, so it's all about tyre conservation and making sure you conserve the body too. With Ratcliffe back there in second, Johnny Ray in third, Anthony Higgs in P4. Brucey Skyring and Roy Tester still fighting it out for 5th and 6th on the road. From Ian Shaw, Peter Ten Brooker, John Hill and Nathan Will, your 10 kart field. 6 laps to go. Last time they came across the line, Bradley Stewart out front doing it in style. 1.3 seconds, the gap back to Shane Ratcliffe, who's coming under huge amounts of pressure from Johnny Ray and Anthony Higgs at the moment. Just watching the body language of Higgs, letting the kart be loose, letting it flow, using all of the road he can as he brings it onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight. 5 to go this time by. And Shane Ratcliffe in the CRG chassis holds on to second. It's nothing quite processional. They bunched up for a moment and got real close together. But now they're starting to spread out a little bit across the top end of the racetrack. And as Bradley Stewart continuing to lead the way, and last time across he clicks off a 34.9. He's lapping on pace with the guys behind him, but maintains a 1.3 second advantage over the rest of the field. Following on the battle here between Bruce Skyring and Roy Tester, still fighting it out for 5th and 6th on the road. Skyring had the upper hand earlier. Roy the Toy Tester got him, and now Skyring's got him back with just over a lap left to go as they bring it onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight. 1 lap remaining, 1 to go here in 125 Restricted Masters Heat 3. Bradley Stewart has very, very suddenly dropped off in these last few laps. Almost limping in comparison to Shane Ratcliffe, but he's going to try and hold on across the top end of the racetrack as he heads up towards the Avalon Transport Peak for the final time. Checkered flag out and waiting. Bradley Stewart was dominantly quick at the start, but holds on, and he claims a win here in Heat 3 of 125 Restricted Masters. Shane Ratcliffe comes home for second. Johnny Ray home for third. Anthony Higgs in P4. And Bruce Skyring will claim P5. That was 125 Restricted Masters, brought to you by Gasset Pipe Contracting. There's the sound of KZ engines warming up in the background here at Bunbury City Kart Club. They are getting ready for their 25-lap final coming up very soon. But we are still in the throes of Heat 3, and it's KA3 Senior Light on track and getting ready to go racing for 15 laps on the board. We pick up your field as they get ready to go racing. Hugh Maguire with a pair of wins against his name so far alongside Ryan Nicholson on the outside front row. Judd Stevens will start from P3. Jake Sawyer from P4 alongside Bevan Stone, Liam Kane, Mason Fraser and Michael Jones with Trent Mann and Lucas Gaelic rounding out your top 10 as we are lights out and off and racing. 15 laps on the board. And Nicholson gets a better start this time by, and he goes to the lead. Maguire getting shunted around as everyone's shuffling further back. Ryan Nicholson claims the race lead in early days here. On the opening lap of KA3 Senior Light, brought to you by TNN Sheet Metal. Down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Nicholson trying to open up the taps from Maguire. We go back to this battle. This is Liam Kane, Bevan Stone and Mason Fraser fighting it out for 5th, 6th and 7th on track as they come out of the Air Force air conditioning southwest corners. The main pack a little bit further up the road. We pick up Nicholson and Maguire with Sawyer right there in third. Judd Stevens will be further behind in P4, the number 26 machine. You can see looming back there in P4. As we are 2 down, 13 to go for KA3 Senior Light. Brought to you by TNN Sheet Metal. As they head up towards the Hot Weld Fabrications corners. Nicholson not really skipping away from the field yet, a 34.4. Last time across was a 34.5 for Maguire, 34.5 for Sawyer, and a 7 for Stevens. Maguire trying to put some pressure on for the fight at the pointy end of the field, but he's got to be careful because Sawyer is right there in third. See Nicholson sliding the back end of the 75 KF kart through the center section of the racetrack. Doesn't have quite as much rear traction as he would hope. And Maguire trying to put some pressure on as we're coming up a few laps down. It'll be 4 down, 11 to go this time by. Onto the Bunbury Toyota main straightaway. Ryan Nicholson leads the way in KA3 Light. Brought to you by TNN Sheet Metal. Nine laps left to go across the line, and someone getting dropped off on the main straightaway. There, big cloud of dust, and someone drops a wheel and gets all caught up. But the battle at the front starting to get really tight now. Nicholson and Maguire closing right up. You break a metre too early, and you're going to fall back into the clutches of Jake Sawyer behind you in third. Up into the Hot Weld Fabricators corners. Ryan Nicholson trying to maintain the race lead, but he really is a cork in the bottle. Jake Sawyer is the fastest of the top three with a hot lap of the race of 33.7. Down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Nicholson trying to hold on to it, but Sawyer wants a piece of it now. Has a little look up the inside of Maguire, but couldn't draw inside enough. Maguire closing the door at the flat-out kart sweeper. as they come out of the Air Force air conditioning southwest corners in the middle of the track here at Bunbury City Kart Club. Across the top end of the track, Nicholson, Maguire and Sawyer. Back there is Judd Stevens in the 4 spot, still hanging out. Liam Kane, 1.8 seconds further adrift in P5. And a very unhappy driver pushing their kart off to the side of the racetrack there. I think Mason Fraser that would be on the sidelines on the main straight. Maguire tried it on, but gave it away. Now Sawyer is going to punish him for it. It only takes a second and a misjudged pass, and that's released Ryan Nicholson out front, which could be enough. Now Sawyer really has to show his pace if he's going to drive up onto the back of the leader. The challenge for the race lead here in Heat 3. Through the center of the track, Sawyer has to get a move on. It was a 34.2 last time by, gave away some time. It sits at half a second, the gap for Ryan Nicholson as they came across the line on the Bunbury Toyota main straight. But we could be staring down the battle of the first person other than Hugh Maguire to win a heat so far, to really set up a thriller for the 20-lap final tomorrow. 5 laps to go as they came across the line. Ryan Nicholson leads Jake Sawyer from Hugh Maguire. Judd Stevens right there with him in the 4th spot as they come up into the top end of the racetrack. TNN Sheet Metal bringing out your KA3 Senior Light Field this weekend for the PatriciaCourse.com Goldstar Series Final here at Bunbury City Kart Club. Also serving as round 4 of the West Australian KZ Series. The battle's still going on for 2nd and 3rd. Judd Stevens just wants to get him there. He's sitting back there in 4th, biding his time and waiting to pick his moment. Down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Maguire pushing Sawyer along. It's 3 to go as they came across the line. They're not going to catch Nicholson at this rate. And the 75 KF kart will be in charge here in Heat 3 and throw the cat amongst the pigeons heading into the final tomorrow morning. So with 2 laps left in the books, the KA3 light, Ryan Nicholson holding on to a 4/10 at the second advantage. Sawyer just bouncing around across the bumps from curb to rumble strip, trying to open up the track as much as he can, but Maguire has a big look up the inside of the top end of the track, gets a hurry up from Sawyer in the process. Hugh Maguire at least wants to claim 2nd. There's no way known is going to be able to close the gap to Ryan Nicholson. Final lap here for KA3 Senior Light. And Sawyer takes a defensive line to stop any challenge from Judd Stevens for 3rd. But it's Ryan Nicholson out front, heading into the top end of the racetrack for the final time. Leading things out here in Heat 3 of KA3 Light. As the checkered flag flies under the sunset here at Bunbury City Kart Club, Ryan Nicholson wins Heat 3 of KA3 Senior Light. Hugh Maguire home for 2nd on the road. Jake Sawyer in 3rd. Judd Stevens P4. Liam Kane rounds out your top 5 as we wind down the sun to the western side of Bunbury City Kart Club. Begin to start closing out our heats races for the Bunbury City Kart Club. Final round of the PatriciaCourse.com Goldstar Series. That was KA3 Light, done and dusted. We have KA2 followed by KA3 Senior Medium. Heat 3 to round out their day. And then 25 laps on the board for KZ2 for the final. Through the 4th round of the West Australian KZ Series brought to you by World East Fabrications and Bunbury Toyota. KA2 Junior getting set to go here for 15 laps. It's been great to see the youngsters take to the track and really adapt to the big power that they can strap in with the Vortex Rock DVS engines. Bolted into the junior chassis on the same DFM tyre that they would be running in KA3 Junior. Your KA2 class proudly brought to you by Vulcan Panel and Paint. So far today, it's been all about Noah Lyle and Caleb Sumich out front. A couple of mistakes in Heat 1 saw Lyle come a cropper and give Sumich the win. But in Heat 2, he recovered and made the most of track position to claim the win the second time out. He will start on the outside front row, as Sumich had the fastest qualifying time in this morning's session. Qualifying this morning, a 32.24. A full second and a bit with change in hand, faster than KA3's as the lights go out and send us racing for 15 laps. For KA2 Junior, Caleb Sumich leads from Lyle, Byrne, Stefanovic, Rhodes and Deckers, your 6-kart field. As they head on up towards the top end of the racetrack at the Hot Weld Fabrications corners, and it's Caleb Sumich leading the way in the Eco Resources Cosmic onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight to end lap number 1. He leads out from Noah Lyle in second, who's already putting pressure on him in the flat-out karts and a Rise Racing Parallel. Side by side off the end of the straight, Sumich goes back to the inside to defend. Cantor alongside Lyle, who claims the race lead. And now Sumich having to keep an eye on Joshua Byrne, tucking in behind him, Alex Stefanovic in the 22, OJG Engineering Sarah Kart back there in P4. As Aiden Decker is drawing alongside Bree Rhodes at the back of that pack there. But it's Rhodes holding on to P5. Decker's back to the 6th spot. Down the Bunbury Toyota main straight once again. In the early stages of Heat 3 for KA2. Deckers got a bit of unloading there on Bree Rhodes, helping her out of the way for the corner at the flat-out kart sweeper. But they gathered it up and continue on. It's Noah Lyle out front here in the flat-out karts and a Rise Racing. Number 4 Parallel chassis leading things out from Sumich in second. Actually, I may be corrected. It might be an X5 chassis for young Noah. Onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Sumich in second. Joshua Byrne in the 3rd spot from Stefanovic in P4. Five down, 10 to go. Last time across, Noah Lyle and Caleb Sumich trying to break away from the rest of the field, leaving Joshua Byrne back there in the 3 spot. They're not done with it yet, though, out front. As Lyle leads Sumich up in the Avalon Transport peak at the top of the hill, down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. To follow Lyle, trying to hold on to the number 4 flat-out karts and a Rise Racing entry in KA2, strapping something like 38 horsepower into the same karts. Rock a bit of old school push start action to get out of the outgrid as well. It'd be really awesome to see this class continue to grow and come up with more demand at events to get the best junior drivers in Western Australia competing in the class and showcasing their talent with big power. But at the moment, it's Lyle leading Sumich. Young Caleb has a hot lap of the race, a 32.601. Plays a 32.608 from Noah Lyle, leading the way. Joshua Byrne back there in 3rd with a 32.61. I stand corrected, 32.81. And a 32.74 from Alex Stefanovic in P4. Bree Rhodes at 32.82. Aiden Decker's 32.99. And to 32.51 now from Noah Lyle. New fastest lap of the race is opening up the taps as we hit the halfway point. Trying to stretch things out here. Noah Lyle checking over his shoulder a little bit as we go 6 laps to go past the canteen corner. As they come out of the centre section for Air Force Air Conditioning and Southwest. Up into the Hot Weld Fabrications corners. Sumic hasn't given up the ghost yet on having a fight here for the race lead in KA2 Junior for Vulcan Panel and Paint down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Sumic gets an aerodynamic toe. He pulls out for a pass at canteen corner and gets the job done nicely there from Caleb Sumic. The Eco Resources number 14 Cosmic Kart of Caleb Sumic trying to open up the tap, see if he can put a bit of gap on Noah Lyle there. There'll be 4 laps to go this time by onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Just over 1 lap left to go here. We follow along with Joshua Byrne and Alex Stefanovic. Fighting over 3rd and 4th here as we go down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Caleb Sumic starts his final lap here in Heat 3 of KA2 Junior. Brought to you by Vulcan Panel and Paint. And for a little while during the middle of the race, it looked like Sumic had no answer for Lyle. But he gets out front and opens up the taps. And Caleb down to a 32.4 hot lap. Just a couple of tenths of a second off what they set in qualifying earlier today. In the tune to a 32.24. Sumic takes it to the flag and wins Heat 3 of KA2 Junior. From Noah Lyle home in 2nd. Joshua Byrne home for 3rd. Alex Stefanovic in 4th. It'll be Bree Rhodes and Aiden Deckers in 5th and 6th. Rounding out KA2 Junior Heat 3 for today. we go. KA3 Senior Medium out for their 15-lap Heat 3. And it's Zach Needham and Braden Barra with a win apiece. Sorry, I stand corrected. As they get set to go, Barra has the inside line on the opening lap through the flat-out kart sweeper. Needham hangs it all the way around the outside and slides across the curb. Barra back to the inside in the middle of the racetrack to reclaim the race lead. Needham has to slot in for second here. Mighty King settling in for third at the moment from Evan McCulloch and Matthew Wilkins. It's actually Wilkins ahead of McCulloch. As we pick him up onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight, Barra leads away from Zach Needham in second. WA Strata Management presenting our KA3 Senior Medium field. Zach Needham with a very late move up the inside of Braden Barra gets the job done and picks him off. Now Needham goes to the point, and the number 28 Arrow X1E chassis, the old school mobile for Zach Needham getting the work done here. And he had the fast time in qualifying earlier today, has had some great battles with Braden Barra in the first two heats, looking to continue that here in the Heat 3 as they come onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Needham leads away from Braden Barra in second. Marty King in the third spot, the number 12 Birilla chassis for the Bunbury local driver. And further behind, Matthew Wilkins and Evan McCulloch rounds out your 5-kart field. 2 laps to go. Last time they came across the line, Zach Needham on his way to picking up a win here in Heat 3 of KA3 Senior Medium, brought to you by WA Strata Management. Ahead of Brayden Barra, who's 2 seconds adrift now, just cannot match pace with Needham here in Heat 3. We follow Marty King in the number 12 Birillard chassis as Needham comes down the line. Last lap board is out, 1 to go for the Arrow X1E chassis of Zach Needham, bouncing across the rumble strip bumps through the short chute, past the canteen corner, out of flat-out cart sweeper, into the Air Force air conditioning. Middle section of Bunbury City Kart Club. Up towards Hot World Fabrication corners. On his final tour of the circuit here today, he'll be ready for his final tomorrow to decide who's going to take home the silverware at the final round of the PatriciaCourse.com's Goldstar Series at Bunbury City Kart Club. Needham wins Heat 3 of KA3 Medium. Brayden Barra home for second. Marty King comes home in third. Evan McCulloch comes home in P4, and Matthew Wilkins rounds out your 5-kart field. Check out the finishing results. We'll take just a couple of moments and we'll be set to go for 25 laps for KZ2, brought to you by Bunbury Toyota and Weld East Fabrications. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you back to KZ2 action. This weekend is the 4th round of the West Australian KZ Series here at Bunbury City Kart Club for the Goldstar Series Final, brought to you by PatriciaCourse.com. Of course, KZ2 is brought to you by Bunbury Toyota and Weld East Fabrications. And it's been a long day of racing, but we are set to finish on a high note. 25 laps on the board for KZ2. Their final tonight under lights. It's been all about Tommy Sparks so far in the heat races, but can he capitalise for another round win against his name in the number 21 OJG Engineering Charles Leclerc kart? Can current championship leader Blake Mills keep his nose clean and capitalise to pick up a round win, the first he would pick up since the first round of the series at the Hurricane Go-Kart Club in Wandowie? Can Jaden Pierce come through for a breakthrough win in the number 18 Leasing Services WA Praga kart? He's been in hot form so far this weekend, taking the fastest qualifier time in the morning session. Can Riley Traeger pull the hat out of the bag and put some pressure on the front after coming a cropper in the final at the last round with an incident with Louis Sutherland at Coburn International Raceway? Can Bailey Gretsch in the 55 CRG put something on? Can Nick Middick get on the podium for the 4th consecutive round in the championship season? Will Josh Merritt have something to say about it? Can Bailey Mickler finish a final, slapping another nose cone onto the 97 Armani Bar Birrell Art chassis? Can Daniel Curry, multi-time series champ, make a monster drive in 25 laps once again like he did just a few weeks ago at Coburn? Or can Paul Pedrotti, a dark horse from P10 on the grid, have something to say about what will happen over the next 25 laps? These are all questions I pose to you, and we will get answers to them, I am sure. For Bunbury Toyota and Weldies Fabricators, it's KZ2 getting set to go. We are away and racing for 25 laps on the board. There's been a bit of an off at the start there. A couple of guys caught up, but it's Tommy Sparks from the front row leading the field into the flat-out kart sweeper. There's 1, 2, maybe 3 or even 4 karts off from the starting grid on the main straightaway there. Unfortunately, for our contenders, taking no further part in this long 25-lap race. But it's Tommy Sparks leading the way. Blake Mills into second. Looks like Riley Traeger. No, Jaden Pierce into third. And a spot, a BRM chassis. Nick Middick, the monster man. He goes to P4 on the opening lap. Bailey Gretsch into P5. Joshua Merritt into P6. They come down to the flat-out kart sweeper once again. Blake Mills has a monstrous lead in the championship. He doesn't need to win races anymore. He just needs to play the game. But sometimes, when you lift off the throttle, that's when things go wrong. But we have a full course yellow. Yellows are out and hands are up. Now, we've seen this a couple of times already in the series. And a full course yellow potentially throwing hands into the mix. But the yellows look to be extinguished and we are back racing. So confusion at the front. Didn't change any of the positions, but it allowed a gap for Blake Mills to open up on Jaden Pierce and close up to the back of Tommy Sparks. As I think he might have thought they were on the full course. I certainly did for a moment. But Tommy Sparks leads the number 21 OJG Engineering Charles Leclerc kart onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight from Blake Mills in the Pro Drainage Ricardo kart from Mack Track in second. Then we go further back. Jaden Pierce in P3, Nick Middick in P4. We follow along at the moment the comp kart pairing of Courtney Goff and Scott Mackay. They are currently 12th and 13th on the road, with Daniel Sugar behind them. And James Mackay rounding out your top 15 on track. But the battles further up the field of what we want to see as Blake Mills has a hot lap of the race, trying to put pressure on Tommy Sparks at the moment. Down the Bunbury Toyota main straightaway they go once again. Tommy Sparks hard under the brakes as Blake Mills is hot on his heels as they come into the middle of the racetrack. Clayton seemed abundantly confident for Blake's current position heading into the final. We'll see if his confidence was well justified, as Blake wants to put some pressure on your race leader. But Riley Traeger has a hot lap of the race now. The 32.553 from Traeger. As Sparks and Mills trying to break away from Jaden Pierce and Nick Middick. The question was asked, can Middick get on the podium for the 4th consecutive round? He's only one spot away. But Jaden Pierce really wants a breakthrough result. He's had a shocker of a season here in the West Australian KZ Series. Wants to make amends for that if he can get on the podium in the final here tonight at Bunbury City Kart Club. We are 5 laps down, 20 to go. Last time across the line. As we follow the battle between Pierce and Middick across the top end of the racetrack, even into the Avalon Transport Peak. And down the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Sparks, Mills, Pierce, Middick and Gretsch now the fastest on track. The 55 CRG machine with a 32.441. Wants to buy his way into the fight for third between Pierce and Middick. Sparks and Mills out front. Not really getting into too much of an argument about it yet. They're trying to put the herd on the field and see if they can have a buffer, but they need to work a bit harder for that. Currently 2.4 tenths between them. Another 5 tenths further back to Pierce, with Middick hot on his heels. A tenth of a second between Pierce and Middick. Another tenth and a half back to Gretsch in P5. As they come into the flat-out kart sweeper. 7 laps completed, 18 to go. Last time across the line on the Bunbury Toyota main straight. This is KZ racing. Middick with a gearbox issue. The 94 BRM kart and the dream of making a podium 4 rounds in a row disappears in a puff of gearbox fluid, as Middick unfortunately looks like he may DNF this one and have to sit out the remainder of the 25-lap final. And Middick has pulled to the inside of the main straight, letting the field go on by. Heartbreak for young Mick. As my heart goes out to those who lost out on the opening lap as well. Melinda Sully, Adam McKenzie and Ryan Bender. Heartbreaking one for Bender to miss out on the opening lap of the final of a season he was doing so well in. Had plenty of pace at every round we've gone to so far. But a DNF against his name in the final here at Bunbury City Kart Club as they head into the final round of their championship at Tiger Kart Club's Wanneroo International Raceway in a couple of weeks' time for the Arise Racing Carnival of Karts. I hope to see a bumper field, an oversubscribed field even, up at Wanneroo in a couple of weeks. Would be an awesome way to cap off a great year of karting. As the blue lights are out for some lap traffic, as your leaders Tommy Sparks and Blake Mills coming up onto the back of Jessica Howe in the Swiss Hutless machine as they come onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight. Sparksy and Mills get through unscathed. Jaden Pierce sneaks on through. Pierce will be the best to capitalise on the misfortune of Nick Middick as he's on his way to potentially scoring a breakthrough podium in the 2020 WAKZ Series. As we follow along your leaders across the top end of the racetrack, Jaden Pierce and Bailey Gretsch, 3rd and 4th on track right now. We pick up with Josh Merritt and Riley Traeger. Into the flat-out karts sweeper they go. They are currently 5th and 6th on the road ahead of Daniel Curry in P7, Tommy Shu in 8th, Paul Pedrotti in 9, and Scott Mackay rounding out your top 10. It's good to see Josh out here contending as the lone soldier with the GP kart. As we're approaching the halfway point of our 25-lap final. And out front, Tommy Sparks still in control of the race, but Blake Mills staying in touch. And in touch is all you need to be with a 2.5 tenth of a second advantage to Tommy Sparks right now. Millsy just needs to be in touch as he sets a hot lap of the race, a 32.22. Last time by for Blake Mills out front. We follow the battle as Riley Traeger tries to size up Josh Merritt for a move up the top end of the racetrack at the Hot Weld Fabrications corners, up into the Avalon Transport Peak and onto the Bunbury Toyota main straight. We pick up Tommy Sparks and Blake Mills. Across the halfway point we go. 13 down, 12 to go here at Bunbury City Kart Club. And Tommy Sparks may not have the opportunity to steal a championship away from Blake Mills here at Bunbury City Kart Club. Millsy has a massive lead in the championship standings, and he does that by finishing all the heats. But Tommy Sparks, he wants to steal the glory for the round wins, and why not when you got this much kart speed underneath you? As he leads away, hot lap that time by 32.15 from Tommy. He's a 32.23 from Blake Mills. The gap sits at 4.1 tenths of a second. Up into the Hot Weld Fabrications corners. This is your battle for the race lead. Almost half a second between them now. Tommy Sparks continuing to just inch away, little by little, bit by bit, with 10 laps to go for Tommy Sparks. We are 15 down. That's the length of one of the heat races we've had so far. We are into uncharted waters as far as tyre degradation, driver fitness, and how good your setup is. We pick up a little battle starting to heat up a bit more between Jaden Pierce and Bailey Gretsch. That's the fight for 3rd, and it'd be a breakthrough result for either one of these two, as Bailey's been there or thereabouts in the rounds so far in this season. but has never been challenging this high up come finals time. He puts some pressure on Jaden Pierce, who's very happily running a different go-kart this weekend. Back to the kart he used last season. So either way, as it stands, we're looking at a breakthrough win to be on the podium for either Jaden Pierce or Bailey Gretsch. At the moment, Pierce has the advantage. He'll be a happy man to stay there for the next 8 laps on track here as we go 8 to go for Tommy Sparks down the line. Flicking off a 32.42 that time by 32.49 for Blake Mills, 32.51 for Jaden Pierce, and 32.61 for Bailey Gretsch. Josh Merritt and Riley Traeger fighting for 5th and 6th in the third of our 2-kart battle packs. Down the Bunbury Toyota main straight, Tommy Sparks edging out the gap now to 0.7 of a second. To Blake Mills back there in second. Pierce and Gretsch 0.4 of a second apart between them as we pick up Sparksy. Coming up onto the back with Jessica Howe once again. As the blue lights not yet coming on for Jessica, but they come on for Sparksy to get there. The speed differential. We'll see Sparksy arrive on her doorstep in just a moment as we come down the line. 6 laps to go for Tommy Sparks. And Jessica Howe sees him coming and we'll let Millsy go on through as well. Great piece of driving from everyone to get our lap traffic is out of the way of your race leaders as they come on through. It could throw a spanner in the works between Jaden Pierce and Bailey Gretsch though. But it looks like they'll sneak through. Just dropping in and out of frame at the top end of the racetrack. It's Sparks and Mills. Throwing Sparks out from underneath the karts as they head across the top end into the Avalon Transport Peak. This is a battle for third. Jaden Pierce and Bailey Gretsch into the flat-out kart sweeper. Last time across, they were separated by 3.4 of a second with 5 laps to go. But it looks like Bailey Gretsch in the 55 CRG kart is mounting a charge. So the blue and red stripes being hung out for Jessica Howe, I believe, to advise her you're being lapped, but you can pull in. Your result will count. And that's simply a measure in Australian karting to get lap traffic off the racetrack. Talking about off the racetrack, Jaden Pierce goes straight on in the middle of the circuit and practically throws away his chance of holding on to the podium here. Now he has to let the leaders go past and he has to settle back in to where he was, which one could argue was just in front of Bailey Gretsch. As we pick up Tommy Sparks and Blake Mills coming on through. 3 laps to go as they hit the line. And Jaden Pierce throwing our timing system all out of whack, showing a 26-second fast lap of the race. For Tommy Sparks, looking to pick up another round win here at Bunbury City Kart Club for the West Australian KZ Series. And takes another few points out of the lead of Blake Mills, but it's still quite a lot of work to be done if he wants to catch Millsy for the championship standings. The number 2 Pro Drainage and Mac Track Ricardo Kart leads the way coming into Bunbury City Kart Club, and he'll be a happy man leaving Bunbury as your continued championship leader as they approach the final round at the Carnival of Karts for Rise Racing up at Tiger Kart Club's Wanneroo International Raceway in a couple of weeks' time at the end of the month. The beginning of December as the last lap board comes out. 1 to go for Tommy Sparks, leading the way in the OJG Engineering Charles Leclerc kart. And Tommy has been in a league of his own this weekend, putting almost all of the aspects together that we've seen from the previous rounds. We've seen heat wins, we've seen round wins come from Tommy, but here he stacks up all 3 heats and the round as Tommy Sparks takes a checkered flag. Sparks wins round 4 of the West Australian KZ Series from Blake Mills in second, Jaden Pierce in third, Bailey Gretsch in fourth, and Riley Traeger rounds out your top 5. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for your KZ2 boys. As Sparks flies in Bunbury once again. Your final results shows them like this. 8.5 tenths of a second in hand for Thomas Sparks at the end of 25 laps of Bunbury City Kart Club. Sparks wins round 4 of the West Australian KZ Series ahead of Blake Mills in second. Jaden Pearce claims third, and a breakthrough podium result for the youngster in the number 18 Leasing Services of WA Praga chassis. Bailey Gretsch misses out, goes to P4 in the 55 CRG kart. Riley Traeger goes P5 in the number 60 Ricardo kart. Daniel Curry, multi-time series champ, parks the Newland and Associates Maranello kart to P6. Tommy Shue has a great run here in the 75 BRM kart. He goes P7 from Scott Mackay in the 8th spot. Joshua Merritt in P9, and Courtney Goff makes a top 10 result here in KZ2 for round 4 of the West Australian KZ Series. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up all the racing here on Saturday program for the PatriziaCourse.com Goldstar Series final here at Bunbury City Kart Club and round 4 of the West Australian KZ Series, brought to you by Bunbury Toyota and Weldeast Fabrications. It's been a stellar day of racing, plenty of action coming from the 745 metres, as it always does here in Bunbury. We'll be back tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. on the dot with KA4 Junior Heavy due out for their finals to kick off the remainder of the racing here for the Goldstar Series finale. Have a safe and enjoyable evening. Grab yourself a beverage. We'll see you all bright and early in the morning, and we'll be broadcasting live for 4 Style Media from Bunbury City Kart Club.